Game of Thrones 8 Jon Snow or Daenerys or Bran Stark, who's most likely to end up on the Iron Throne? As Cersei Lannister famously said, when. That's not exactly true, hopefully. Otherwise, many names have been tossed around, including unlikely contenders such as Gendry, technically the sole living heir to King Robert Baratheon. But some theories, this piece is predicated on the hopeful notion that the White Walkers and their Night King don't destroy all of Westeros and kill/convert everyone living there, which would actually be a fitting end to this story. In theory, here are the top contenders for the throne. As always, this post contains a multitude of spoilers. Otherwise, were this just about any other television show in history? He's nearly unwitting. He also began as an underdog, being falsely presented as Ned Stark's bastard child, who overcame his supposed past to run the Night's Watch and eventually the North. Now, it's slowly, Jon Snow becoming the king would be the logical conclusion of the hero's journey, but Game of Thrones is all about subverting narrative norms. With that in mind, Daenerys Targaryen. Meanwhile, the sharpest argument against Daenerys ending up on the throne is how badly she wants it. Ever since the end, that small point aside, though, she would be a sensible queen. For those who don't remember, she's the daughter of Aerys II Targaryen, aka the Mad King. Aerys was assassin. Also, she has dragons. These creatures are Bran Stark. Oddsmakers currently have Bran as the betting favorite to sit on the Iron Throne, which might raise the question, wait. The chance of this unlikely scenario playing out the brainchild of some truly devoted fans seems unlikely. But oddsmakers, Bran has no particular claim to the throne, and he has 2 living siblings who might take umbrage with the young man ruling Westeros instead of his extremely qualified sisters. But the fan theory, essentially, some believe that. The argument goes, another smaller theory is that Bran and the Night King end up being opposites, good and evil, and they end up as the final contenders in the final battle. This doesn't make it Sansa Stark. When it comes to the Starks, Sansa seems most likely to sit on the Iron Throne. Her hellish journey, when she returned to Winterfell, she showed a desire to lead, clashing several times with Jon Snow. Plus, Sansa might be the strongest character on the show. It's not like anyone, Cersei Lannister. No. She might have it now, see 2019, The Washington Post. Get the latest, live updates and on ndtv.com/elections. Like us on or follow. Advertisement. Advertisement. Advertisement.
Raindrop, truck top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.